Hello, true art believers, and welcome to today's installment of the Artist Interview Series. Today, I will be talking with artist Jeru Kinnaird. Jeru Kinnaird is an illustrator from London who likes creating her images using one singular line. In the future, she would like to ditch her 9 to 5 to instead buy a dog and become a full-time creative. Until then, she spends her time making and drawing, listening to true crime podcast. I said podcasts, and eating crisps. Until I was about to say that again. I just kind of went blank here. Before we start, don't forget to make sure to subscribe to the show and hit the notifications bell. Thank you and enjoy the conversation. Jeru, that was probably one of the worst intros I've done in a while. It's probably because it's morning and I had a long shift last night and I just been kind of a little laggy. I apologize for that.
So what excuses I'm hearing?
It happens. It happens.
That's fine. A podcast is fine.
It's a podcast.
I'll watch a podcast. I'll listen to a podcast. Yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts too. But I haven't listened to any true crime podcasts lately. Actually, I don't think I've listened to any of them. No.
I think I've just hit the age of the podcast.
You hit it.
Yeah. So I've just started getting into them. Before it was just music. I liked a bit of audio book, but now I'm like full on just listening to whatever's on. Yeah.
When did you start listening to podcasts?
When did I start?
Yes.
This year.
Literally this year.
Yeah, I had a lot of free time.
They've been going on. They've had podcasts for quite a while now. So this year
I know. That's why I just think I'm just a bit. I'm late to the mark, but I think I've hit the age. I feel like there's an age.
Jeru, imagine this. Imagine if Nintendo came up to you and said, "Congratulations, you've won the lottery. We're going to hire you to make a game, but the game is about your life." What would that game be like, and what kind of special powers would you have?
Well, as in like a superhero?
Like a superhero game, or a game that, in every game you always have some sort of thing that it makes you like a power, I guess.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm not that into superheroes. I don't really watch any of the I think I watched one Marvel. I like Batman. And then I like Harry Potter, but that's English.
Okay. Imagine you're in a video game, but what would the game be about?
The game would be about it'd be a true crime. It'd be a true crime.
It'd be a true crime game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Would you be a detective?
You put me on this. Yeah, I like mystery.
You'd be a detective.
I also feel like I'm very suspicious of people because of the true crime thing. Well, recently. And I'm always looking to I'm sometimes if I'm driving and I see someone walking past and I'm going to analyze that person. I need to remember what they were wearing just in case anything happens, Do you get that?
Mm-hmm. Would you carry a magnifying glass?
Oh, no.
Would there be a magnifying glass in the game? So would you be looking for clues?
Oh, I think more I'm not a very big gamer either.
Okay.
But my husband loves. Have you heard the game Last of Us? It's quite a big game.
I've heard of it.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. As in, I haven't played it, but I watch him play it because it's like a film, and the guy you just walk around this world, and then it tells the story, and it's very apocalyptic. So I feel like my game would be not like a magnifying glass, but you can go into little rooms, and then you can go into the drawer and you find a little letter you know, that game.
So a very, very realistic detective game.
Yeah, realistic, yeah.
What would the ending be like?
The ending would be just a big party.
We solved the crime. Would it be like the ending of like a Scooby-Doo episode?
What, like they reveal the mask and
they pull the mask off?
Pull the mask off, and it was the best friend all along.
Yeah, or it was like the gardener, or like it was the gardener, or like the best friend.
The janitor. It's always the janitor.
The janitor or the gardener, or like some inconspicuous person that's just kind of in the scene.
Yeah, it's always the granny or the like child or the wheelchair person. Something, yeah. No, maybe, but maybe that's too obvious now. Maybe you need to just go for the actual creepy person.
It was they try to peel off the mask is actually their face, you know.
Yeah.
As opposed to another mask of the same person's face.
Yeah.
So Drew, what was your childhood like as a kid, and what kind of artwork were you making?
As a child, oh man. So actually, when I grew up, I hated art.
You hated art.
Yeah. I hated it. I've grown up in a Christian household. So I went to church. Obviously, you have like sport, craft, that kind of thing. And I always never liked the craft that they did or the art. I would like to play the sport or mess around or football, basically. And then basically my mum's quite good at art. Well, our family is. No one's like artists in my family. They are just creative. And I guess I just started drawing and then was good at being able to see and copy it on the paper, which meant it made me good in art in primary school. And then because I was good at it, I felt good about it. So I just carried on doing it. The art I used to do little comics when I was a kid. I loved this book by Betsy Byers. I don't even know if she's like well known, but she wrote a book called The Cartoonist, which was about a kid that just like drew little cartoons all the time. And I loved that book. And so I used to do my own little comic strips, and I'd like make my own cards for my mum. So it's always been quite illustrative, I would say, rather than like landscapes, oil paintings. Yeah, basically just quite, I don't know, whatever I wanted.
So you drew a lot of comics as a kid?
Yeah, I didn't have I wouldn't say like I made a comic book, but I did like little funny little boxes, you know, with a story.
Like in a newspaper, like those newspaper comic strips?
Yeah, like a Snoopy. Not a Snoopy, no, maybe not a Snoopy. That's not books, isn't it?
What were some of the stories that you were making in those small little Snoopy strips?
I don't know. I didn't even know if I could think of any of them. Just always like, I don't know. I remember there was one of like an old woman that was like fishing, and then like she's like got one, got two, got three, and then the big fish came and ate her, and it was like got me. And I remember like I loved Roald Dahl. I love like Quentin Blake, like how he draws all the books. So I used to like do a lot of that kind of animals and like redrawing those kind of stories, I guess. Yeah.
And how often would you draw as a kid?
I don't know, because I think I was more into doing like being active as well. So I wouldn't say like I was obsessively doing it.
Okay.
Like some kids, because I used to like telling stories as well, and imagination and little like friends and stuff, and getting my friends involved in that. So I don't know if I could really say if I did it loads, but
did you write? Did you write stories?
No, I'm not a writer. I like it'd be an imaginary world I'd go into.
So you had a lot of what kind of
I was always
That's what happens when we're on this time gap. We're in London. You're in London and the US. This is giant lag.
Yeah.
But go ahead, continue. Yeah. Sorry, we're like talking at the same time. Go ahead.
I'll put my hands up. I'll go like, I'm talking.
I'm talking now.
I'm talking now. I'm finished. I used to, I was always, it was funny because I actually moved to Tasmania when I was about 4, and I had some really good friends that were sisters. And when we were over there, I was there for about 3 years. I used to hang out with these 2 girls, like for the whole time, school, after school, Saturdays and Sundays. And I used to tell these stories, and I was obviously the narrator, but also the lead, the princess or whatever, the pirate, you know. And the poor girls had to just be directed by me. I was the storyteller, and then they'd have to just fit round whatever I was saying, which obviously they got upset and wanted to be the storyteller. But, you know, my stories were the best. So.
Were they?
I don't know. Probably not. They're probably just gibberish.
So, what's a typical like day for you with regards to art and creating? Because I noticed that you're doing like a daily drawing habit. What is a day for you like?
Well, so at the moment, so basically this year has been very different to what I normally am like. So I would always have a drawing on the go, but never so incessant. But this year, as everyone has experienced, a bit of a strange year. I was put on furlough. I don't know if you guys even know what furlough is. Did you do furlough? Do you know what that word is?
Taking a break.
So it's It's but basically like, because I'm in full-time work. I'm not an artist full-time. I still work. So because of what's going on this year, for want of not wanting to say the C word, I was furloughed by my work. So actually they let me have 4 months off over Christmas because we were in complete lockdown. And I work in a store, so I couldn't obviously go to work. So they put me on furlough, which meant I was basically retired. I just had 4 months of nothing. Well, no, 3 months actually of nothing. So I decided, because I just started drawing and showing my work online, which is a big thing for me. I decided to start doing daily drawings because I've never done a drawing challenge. I mean, you probably have heard of things like Inktober and, you know, all of those things to try and get you doing something. And I've always been rubbish. And I thought, I've got 3 months. I could really plan this. I could really try and push myself.
Yeah.
And so I started doing a yearly drawing challenge. And I'm like up to 200 and something, like 240, I think is today. And yeah, now it's pretty hectic because I'm still at work.
It's hard to do a daily drawing.
Oh yeah. So now what it looks like daily. I have to work. So I work as a visual merchandiser. So for those who don't know what that is, it's display, window dressing, mannequins, graphics, all that kind of stuff. So I do that from 8 till 4:30. Then I get home probably about 5:30. I probably have done a sketch up of a drawing that I'm going to do for the day. And then I just sit at home with a coffee trying to get it done. And sometimes that gets finished at 7, sometimes 10. And when it's really bad, midnight. So, and I'm just trying to push myself into being creative, trying to see different things, try and draw stuff I've never done before. And it's really good. It's a good exercise. I mean, there's times where you're definitely like, why? But, you know, I guess that's the fun of the challenge.
And is this a like something you just set up for yourself, like a self challenge?
Yeah. So there was a few reasons why I did it. One was I draw a lot of dogs for people. A lot of my friends want their pets drawn, which I love doing. I love drawing animals. That's probably the main thing I draw. And they were just like, "Oh, I want you to draw something, but I don't know what you could draw for me." I was like, well, I can draw in, like, I'll do anything, you know, I'll do buildings, I'll do food, I'll do whatever. And so it was kind of a bit of that, like showing people what I can draw and see if they see what people like. I really wanted to try and see what my favorite thing was. So I've themed the days. So Mondays I draw the body and like humanity, people, portraits.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesdays about nature. I've got little hashtags like Terrain Tuesday, Mortals Monday. So yeah, Tuesday's all about like nature and, you know, mountains and plants and all that. Wednesday, I wanted to do fantasy and trying to do like mythology. Thursday, I decided to make it all about whatever I wanted. So I sometimes draw news stories. I sometimes draw things that I've just had on my mind, like that itch to draw something. Friday's animals, because I'd have to have an animal thing, because that's basically what I always draw. Saturdays are building, structural Saturday. And then Sunday is about food. So I wanted to try and like go across board and experiment with all these different, you know, themes that artists take, and do 52 of each, and then kind of see what I enjoy and what people enjoy. And yeah, I probably will never do a year challenge again, but it feels satisfying when you see them all lying down. Definitely.
Yeah, that's so you're doing it for a year.
Yeah.
And there's those days where you're like, you're struggling to get it done. You're hitting at midnight and you're like, oh my gosh, this is rough. How do you get past that? Because I experienced that too. Like it can be there. It's tough to do a drawing a day. When you're working, you know, at a job full time.
Well, I set myself that I'm doing it, and because I'm over half the year now, I'm like, don't waste it. I'll feel like I failed if I didn't complete the year, because it's just been like, I'm going to do this all year. So I think because I've set it as a target, I'm quite focused in doing it. What that means is I sometimes have to post pictures I don't like, and I sometimes have to be a bit vulnerable, which isn't a nice feeling, to put things out that you're not 100% proud of. But then it's quite, I guess it's quite refreshing to not be so filtered all the time. So there's a nice balance to being able to put things out. Like I have to put a picture out today because I'm going to do it, you know. But yeah, it does mean that you sometimes lose on, I guess, your best work. But then sometimes you then have your best work, you know.
Yeah, like there's going to be those days where your quality is not as good as you like it to be.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's so many. I mean, so I wanted to try and do an exhibition of them all at the end. So I've got a really good. I've got a friend who's just quit. He worked where I worked actually, and he's just quit to go and do painting. And we were discussing of doing this exhibition together, because I want something that is sort of a goal to show them all off. You know, otherwise people always ask me, what are you going to do with all these pictures? I'm like, well, definitely not going to keep them all around, and I want to show them off, like in a big.
That'd be 365 drawings.
Yeah, but it's also like, oh, there's some I really hate. I could redraw them for the exhibition.
What would one of those? Have you sold any of them, or are you keeping them until the very end?
I've had people ask me who are interested, so I've got a little list if people want to buy them.
You got to wait for the end of the year.
I will end up selling them, yeah. But I'm not. I want to sell them all together, so I'm not giving them away. Yeah.
What kind of paper do you use?
Oh, I think it's just cartridge. I think.
What's cartridge?
Oh.
Is it like
normal art? It's from a book. It's just from an art. I just go to. Do you have Cass Art?
It sounds familiar. Oh, okay. Okay. So is it thick gauge or is it like thick or is it like thin?
Yeah, it's like 200 is it GSM? This is where you're pulling apart how little of, look, let me
I
get,
don't know.
sorry.
I don't. I'm oblivious to the fact as well. I don't really know the intricacies of like paper. I know a little bit, but not enough.
It's just a normal,
Okay, just a normal sketchbook, but higher
it's
quality paper.
recycled paper. There you go. That's good, isn't it? 200 GM, not GSM. Where's the S? There is an S somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I just buy it in books and then I cut it up. Yeah, strawberries there.
All right, what are those? What do you have strawberries in your sketchbook for?
Well, so I did. Oh, I've done a painting for a gallery. So this is what's really nice about it's opened up doors like doing this kind of project.
Yeah.
To talk to you, right? Yeah, no, there's a gallery in Camden. You're not familiar with London. I don't know how famous Camden is. Camden is, I would say, quite an edgier part of London. A lot of graffiti. There's a market. It's right next to the canal. It's really pretty. If you come to London, go to Camden. It's quite nice. So there's a new gallery that's opened up there, and I'm doing a painting for them. And I was just drawing strawberries because my painting is strawberries.
Did they contact you?
No, my friend who I want to do the exhibition with, he told me to ask them, and then they saw the stuff I was doing, and they were like, "Yeah, come along." So it was quite nice.
Did they like the idea that you're doing like a 300-day challenge or 1-year challenge?
I don't think I spoke to them about it. I think I just said like they just saw like a lot of my drawings coming up, and because they're one line, they're sort of a bit quirky, I guess. I don't know.
So in order to do these drawings a day, one drawing a day, you got to have a lot of structure, or at least I'm assuming you have some structure.
Yeah.
Because if you're missing a beat, from my experience, if you miss a beat, like you're struggling to kind of catch up, like you're missing a skip, and then that beat or skip slowly veers you off track. So do you have any like, how do you structure your day? What kind of habits do you do that like help keep you on the ball, help you keep you on track?
Well, because I had these 3 months, I tried to plan. So I planned the days into themes, which is what I've said before.
Okay, that helps.
It just made it easier to have a theme because you can do a building that day, you can do something whimsical and magical that day, you can do something of nature and animal.
Yeah.
That's really helped because then it kind of, there's so much to draw. Giving yourself a theme,
yeah,
kind of narrows it a little bit. So that's been really helpful. I tried to sketch out a lot when I was off, so I had like a bulk that I could then sort of use. Like, so I would do the one line drawing in. So I had like some that I could then post through the time. Now I don't have any bulk. Now I have to plan week basically.
Do you?
So that
you did
sorry.
You did like a bulk drawing. You just did like a bulk, you did like a bunch of like sketches prior to the starting them.
Yeah. Because I had so much time off, I was able to sort of plan what I would then post because I knew I was doing a year challenge. So I decided to then really plan it just before.
That's a really good idea.
Now, yeah, it is for Instagram. If you're doing that, yeah. But yeah, now I have no bulk. Now I have to like actually do it each week. So what I tend to do is on Saturday, because I don't work weekends, I normally will work out what I'm doing in the week, and I've got lists everywhere of like the different themes. So I know I have 18 weeks left of the year. So I have to get 18 of each done. And I just kind of just think tomorrow I'm gonna draw whatever. And I think sometimes they're just things I've been thinking of. Sometimes I'll see like, that's a really cool building, I need to draw that. Or I'll think, oh, when I went on holiday, I had a snap from that holiday, I'm going to draw that. But sometimes it is just like you see what other people are doing. So I have drawn other people's work, but obviously crediting them, because I think, you know, you need to be inspired by people, and it's just impossible not to be inspired by people. So I do sometimes, if I see something that really I think is my kind of style, and I can see clearly that I can draw it, I will use people's work and credit them. But yeah, it's hard.
Who are some of your inspirations?
Well, I've done some art history, and I've done some people that I just follow.
On Instagram?
Yeah. I mean, I've done some Rene Magritte. I did some of him. I've done some. Who else have I done? It's like I'm going back. I did The Creation of Adam. I've done Venus. I've been thinking about doing Girl with a Pearl Earring for a long time. For people that I'm like, I quite like doing quite known pieces as well, because there's something, people like that familiarity, and then you can see it clearly sort of in pieces. Who do I like online? Oh, I wish I wrote down people. I have a breakdown. I love Grayson Perry. I don't think you know who he is, because he's quite a big English potter. He's great. I love, do you know Danielle Kreiser? I think that's how you say her name. The Jealous creator. Have you ever heard of her? She's great.
I live in a vacuum.
Right, you should follow The Jealous creator, because she is great. She's
The Jealous creator.
Yeah, she's from Canada. She's written a few books. She posts a lot of people that you've never seen, and it's like the stuff that people make, like, you know, like crazy crocheted sculptures and like these insane like realistic paintings. So she's lovely. I actually drew her one day. I drew a picture of her one day because I just love her so much, and she even commented on it. She was like, oh, thank you. So she's great. She's someone I definitely am inspired by. And then there's just people that I've just seen online. I like tattoo artists. I follow a few tattoo artists. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you ever what are your thoughts on those tattoos that are not good? The ones that people like, that there's whole Reddit threads on. You know what Reddit is?
There's a program in Britain called Tattoo Fixers. I don't know if you have that.
There probably is. But like, there's whole threads on like just absolutely bombed tattoos that they'll show, like, oh, I had a picture of my daughter or my grandma, and like they're like, it looks like a smiley face with some squirrely hair. Like, what happened? And they're like, I love it, you know. And then you don't know if they're being serious or not. Do you ever just kind of go through that type of stuff online, check out just terrible tattoos for fun?
I would definitely draw a terrible tattoo if it made me laugh. Yeah, I would definitely do that. Yeah.
To get paid for it?
Do I get paid for drawing?
Would you do it to get paid for it? Would you become a tattoo artist to be just like to do terrible tattoos on purpose?
Oh, no. Well, only if they wanted it. No, I don't think I could actually I don't think I could be a tattoo artist. I think they're too good. I'd be too scared.
Yeah, and the canvas moves and they scream sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh no. And just dealing with people, I don't think I'm very good with. I used to work like on the shop floor dealing with customers, and it's just not for me. No.
Do you have what kind of did you ever have like terrible customers? Well, I'm assuming you did.
Oh, I used to work in a wedding shop, and everyone's always like, "That's lovely, working with brides. Like, you must be with like the loveliest people." And you're like, "Have you met brides? Have you met them? They're so stressed." And the mothers of the brides, oh man, I remember having a girl in a changing room. She was crying. Like, well, no, she wasn't crying. No, she was just, her mum was like one of these mums who was trying to be the bridesmaid. And they, like, every time she came out in a dress, she was like, "Oh, not sure about that one." And they were really like bitchy. And she was in the changing room with me, and she was like, "I just don't want to try this one in front of them." I was like, "It's okay." Like, horrible. No. Yeah, no, I've had horrible customers. Yeah, definitely. So now I don't deal with customers, thankfully. I just don't. Yeah, I'm not good with the public.
How many dresses do you think they changed into that day?
What
Or
in
gowns,
well,
or is it gowns? Like
sometimes they could put on like 10, and sometimes they would really go over
that's a
40.
lot. How long would it take to do that? To put 10
Oh, they
dresses
would only
on?
have an hour appointment with me.
Oh, so they're knocking out 10. They're putting 10 dresses on in an hour.
Yeah. It was quite an expensive wedding dress shop, like quite high end, and so I think a lot of people were trying to just, I want to wear all the dresses. Yeah, trying to like really get their free appointments worth.
What's the most expensive dress that you sold?
Probably about eight, probably about £8,000. I would say £8,000.
Woo!
And that's with like alterations, veil, like but we had one that was £16,000. We never sold that one. You could get, that was without bespoke dresses. We did bespoke dresses. Yeah, they were expensive. This is my interesting story working there. I actually did sell a wedding dress to a dead woman.
How'd you do that?
I know, I just love it. I love saying that because people have no idea what I'm talking about. So this woman came, it was actually her friend. Her friend came in, and her friend had died at a funeral. The whole story was really crazy. Her friend, they'd been to a funeral, they'd taken a picture at the funeral, and then the friend had died at the funeral. And she was really into fashion, and she really loved this wedding dress that we did. It wasn't really a wedding dress, but it was what we did it in white, and people did wear it at weddings. And her friend had come in and wanted to buy it so that she could be buried in it. And I had to get it taken. I had to get it all the zips taken out, and they like put this huge like kind of industrial clamp in it, because they didn't really dress her. They kind of just wanted to like put it on as easily as possible. They didn't want all these like little fiddly buttons, so they just clamped it down this. So this woman is buried in a dress that I sold, which is very odd.
This conversation's gotten pretty morbid really quick.
Well, yeah.
So you had before you started this endeavor, you had a bulk stack of drawings kind of preloaded, so you just kind of retraced them or sketched out so that you had them already kind of done. And now what you do is you have a 7-day like prompt that you know exactly what you're going to do on that day. So that relieves some like a cognitive load on you, so you're not having to think about oh, what do I draw? What do I draw today? I could draw this. I could draw that. And so now that you know exactly, today's buildings. Let's just pick a building and go with it, right? So that helps with your start the creative process. Do you on your days off, have you considered the option of maybe like creating another stack of pre-sketches, like spending like 30 minutes to an hour just kind of sketching out maybe weeks ahead or something, so that you can maybe make it a little bit easier for you the next 18 weeks?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I need to do it soon. I need to start doing that again, because it depends how busy I am. So like this week, I'm pretty free. I could probably do some, but because I work as a visual merchandiser, we do a lot of night shifts, and I don't want to say it, but Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to be installing it in 2 weeks. So in the next few weeks, I'll be doing a lot of night shifts. So yeah, I've been thinking, I don't know how I will actually fit the stuff around it. So that's where I'm going to need to be a bit more prepared.
Yeah. It compounds.
Yeah.
Like if you, as I said, if you start missing your like drawing cue, it like you can find yourself just trying to play catch up. Do you have a specific time during at the end of work or that you start your drawing? Like you said you have, is it tea or coffee that you
have my coffee?
You have your coffee. So when you start your coffee after work, that is like is that like a signifier, like, okay, it's time to grind, it's time to get working?
Yeah, and I'm normally knackered.
When you're knackered, you get home, do you have dinner, or do you just like go straight to the coffee pot and start the coffee and then get everything kind of prepared, and turn on your podcast to your podcast to True Crime or Crime True. And then you listen to True Crime and you start drinking your coffee and drawing away, and that can last for anywhere from a couple hours.
Yeah, it depends. I think the quickest one I did was in 40 minutes. And I don't know how I did that so quickly. But some of them have been about 4 hours.
4 hours. And that's a big chunk of time. That's like a half a day of work. Like you're putting in, you're doing your 8-hour work, and then you're going in and you're doing another 4 on drawing.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen some of your drawings. They're like they're one continuous line. They're circular. Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, wow, Jeru's doing one of these a day. These got to just the fact that they're circular has got to be, I don't know how long, a long time to do. There's a lot of, it just looks very labor intensive, because to maintain a circle and have it clean like that, it could be very time consuming. And you kind of verified that 4 hours. Whew.
Some of them, yeah. It depends on how detailed. Like, so if a building, some of them have. I think I did one of the Eiffel Tower, like a very close up Eiffel Tower, and that I was doing that for a long time. But they're okay, the buildings, because they're on Saturday, so I usually have like the ability to be able to do it. It depends. Yeah, it depends how thickly I draw the line. Like the gaps in between, because obviously if I do like that, it's done.
Mm-hmm. No. So could you kind of go explain how you start your drawing? Because we kind of talked about the process of getting into the drawing, but could you explain how you actually draw your drawings? Do you have any examples nearby, or can you just explain it?
Wow, I do. This is like, I think this is August. I have here.
So they're smaller.
They're little. This is what I would do before. You see this?
Yeah.
My whale.
Like 8 by 10 or something like that.
It's an A2 size, that one. So that took me a while, that one. But these are little.
Okay.
That's not a confusing one. That's the one I drew yesterday.
And that helps, taking down the scale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I've done some big ones for people, but they do take me a few days. But no, so I sketch it out. People always think this one I did the other day, little statue. I sketch it out in pencil, first of all, and I basically just highlight the light and the dark. I probably have. It's a sketch. You don't need to see that. You don't need to see a sketch. And then basically, I've got to get up. I'm getting up.
Oh no, okay. We got to get up. So you're going to show us a pencil sketch of how you kind of start the drawing process.
Yeah. It's like swimming across. So that's one that I'll do, that I've done for next Friday.
Okay.
maybe. If I decide to do it, I might decide to do another animal. That's a whale, obviously. And a whale. Oh, it seems like I'm obsessed with whales. So yeah, I just draw it out, and then basically what I want to do is just try and get the lightness and the dark in the sketch. So I've only just lined that. I'll probably put a bit more depth in it, and then that then affects the thickness of the line, as you can see. Because they're so tiny, sometimes I do go over them a little bit, like highlight them, because I want to show the detail a bit more. But when they're bigger, I can just do a singular line, make it up like that. Yeah, and it just depends. Sometimes what I've realized really in the last year is some things really work well. Other things, if they're too detailed, they just look terrible. But I have to post it. I've tried to do the line differently. You know, sometimes with the building, I'll do, instead of going round in a circle, I'll go up and down, or I'll leave white space. So it's sort of just a massive experiment this year, basically, just to see, you know, what works, what doesn't. And it's just been quite interesting. Yeah.
How much detail is too much detail? Like what's the limit that you can use or go before it becomes too muddy?
I think it's more about contrast.
Okay.
So it's got to be light and dark, because that's the only way I'm showing the detail of a drawing is light and dark.
Yeah.
So if there's too much sort of mid-tones or a gradient, for instance, I can do a gradient, but it depends. Sometimes, like, if the line, I feel like I don't know if I'm making any sense. I feel like if it doesn't work with the way I'm drawing, the flow of the line, it can sometimes become quite confusing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the information gets lost, the details.
Yeah. Trying to see if I've got one here that can kind of relate to that. One that I'm not proud of. Well, I wouldn't say I'm proud of particularly. I don't know. I'm English, so I'm not good at selling myself.
Are you using a compass to do those circles, or is it all freehand?
It's freehand, apart from the first circle, because actually it doesn't end up being a circle in the middle. They all are different. This is why I like it. I like it because I'm a very controlled artist. I'm not like abstract. I have to know what I'm drawing. I want you to see what I'm drawing. Yeah. But when I do it in one line, what that does is it means I've kind of, it's probably as expressionate as I'm going to get. I don't really know how the picture's going to end. I don't know how it's going to look like. I don't know how the shape of the thickness of the line is going to change. So I don't know what shape it will look like in the middle. So there is a little bit of I don't know what this is going to turn out like, but I have an idea of what I want it to look like. So it's controlled, but there is a little bit of play, I guess, or experimentation. Yeah. And I can just sit there and just, you know, I sort of zone out, which is really nice.
So you get in that state of flow. Do you get like a drawing flow? Do you lose track of time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then you're probably in flow. You know what flow is? Where like there's this book called Flow, and it has to do with creatives, and when you are working, there's this like zen-like feeling that you get, like kind of like euphoria where you're working, and then like time kind of just melts away and you lose track of time. So if you zone out, that could be two things. That could be like, to some person, when they say zone out, that could be, I'm just not paying attention. To others, that zoning out could be like, I'm really in the moment and in this creation of this piece here. Do you find that you were so you're a very detailed artist? Did you make a lot of detailed work prior to this, or are you just detailed in a certain way?
Detailed in the stuff I make?
Well, like you said that you're very detailed with your work. And so that you do these circular things, circular drawings, because it kind of it frees you from the burden of focusing on all these details. Is that?
I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry. Try and what?
Rephrase it. Okay. What kind of? I'll try to rephrase it. What kind of work did you do prior to the circle drawings? Were they detailed in nature? Were they highly?
No. I think, well, I've done this for ages. I've done it for years. I started doing it at school. So I've done one-line drawings for ages. But yeah, no, I think I would always be down the side of realistic, what is in front of me. Well, no, as in, like, I will use a bit of an imagination as well sometimes. So like this print I've got here, you know, I didn't see that whale, but it's still in the ocean. You know, it's still, you know, and I might do a bit of like imagination. Like you could put it in space, I guess. I might do something like that.
It is a whale in space.
Yeah, there is probably. Who knows? We haven't found it yet, but who knows? But I always want to make it look like a whale, if that's what you mean. I'd always want you to look at a page and go, that's a whale, not like it's the feeling of a whale.
Okay.
I'm not abstract. I'm like, come and look at my picture. It's a whale.
So you have been doing these circle drawings for quite a while outside of this little what's it called again? This 365 days of drawing goal that you set for yourself.
Yeah. I've been doing it since I was probably 16 when I first did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so school.
Why'd you start doing it at that time? What made you start doing these circular drawings?
So I was doing art in secondary school. So I might have even been 15. And we had a project we had to do a final piece for, or an exam. And my mum showed me this etching by, what's his name? It's on the, his name's gone from my head. It's in the bio, I think I sent you. I need to get his name because I'm just looking at it for now. But anyway, he'd done an etching of, it was actually of Jesus. And I was so incredibly mind blown from it because it's perfect. If you've seen it, you should look it up. I need to find what the name of it was. Sorry, here we go. Claude Mellan, that's his name. And it's called The Face of Christ. It's incredible. He's done some other ones as well, but that's the one I saw. And the circle is perfect. It's perfect all the way through. And I saw it and I was like, that is made of one line. I can't believe it. I'm going to try it. And I actually did it. The first thing I did was a portrait of myself crying because I was a bit of an emo. Do you know what emo is? You know what emo is.
Isn't it? I don't know. Like the term changes. Did you wear like black eyeliner and wear like black clothes? Is that emo?
No, I wasn't that bad. I wasn't like, but it was probably a bit emo-ish to draw a portrait of yourself crying for your like art exam.
Did you have?
It's a bit emotional. That's what emo sounds like.
Did they have did you wear like mesh arm shirts?
No,
is that what they do?
No. I was never that bad. Never that bad. I probably listened to Fall Out Boy, had a big fringe.
Okay.
I was never that bad. I probably had a lot of eyeliner. But no, I was never that bad. Never no. I would have a skinny jean. I'd wear skinny jeans. There you go. But who doesn't wear skinny jeans? Yeah. So that basically, that's what I saw. That was the artist that showed me that kind of technique.
Okay.
And I just never seen it on anyone. And so I basically, I just took that style of drawing, and I just kept drawing just things that I want to draw. I think the way I decide normally that's outside this structure of a year of drawing is a compulsion. I don't know if you get that, but I have I get an itch. I always call it like an itch to draw. It's probably a bit gross to have it that, but that's how I see my creativity, is this, I just need to draw that. And I don't know why. And it's never anything that's like particularly profound. Like a lot of the time it's like, I just want to draw a polar bear, you know, but I've got an idea in my head and I want to go home and draw a polar bear and I have to do it and I've got to get it on the paper. And then I'm like, oh, I've done it. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if I have that compulsion to draw panda bears or polar bears or bears of any kind. Maybe I have a compulsion to like practice, but in a different way. You know, like I just need to get some studies in, because I feel like I'll be like, oh man, I'm feeling like my drawing's pretty weak right now. I need to step up my game, so I should practice some. But never like of anything, never of like a specific thing or theme. So there's no, I'm not like, oh, I want to do this thing or I want to do a theme of sorts. I just like, let's just go find a magazine or something, find some drawings or find some images I can kind of sketch and do that and see what happens.
Yeah. No, I'm always about the end result, which is why art school was not good for me, because I wasn't about I feel like I loved I basically, when I finished uni, I only just realized about the process because I've always been about the end goal, which I know is completely like not how you're meant to do it. But I think I just see things and then I suddenly have this strong like compulsion. It's the only word I can think of to just do it, you know? And so that's basically like, I just like need to get it down on paper. I have to get this down on paper. So that's normally what my kind of artistic side is, just seeing something and wanting to draw it, which is very hard because people are like, oh, what? There's no it doesn't feel like there's meaning. That's why I find it really hard to call myself an artist. I'd say illustrator over artist, because it feels what I'm doing is the joy of drawing, but not necessarily to give a sort of message. It's just this is something that I've seen around me and I really just need to get it on paper, you know?
That's interesting because some people have strong views of like what makes art and what's in like what, like they're like they completely separate artists and illustrators, you know?
Yeah.
They're like completely separate genres. And you just pointed out like that art has to have, there's art. You pointed out to me, art has to have some sort of meaning, and if it doesn't have meaning, is it relegated to illustration? Is that what it is?
Yeah. No, because I wouldn't. That sounds like I'm putting illustration down.
Okay.
Because I think illustration is also a lot of the time is quite political, or definitely is showing a viewpoint. I mean, I remember when. Do you remember Charlie Hebdo? Do you remember that horrible?
Sounds familiar.
It was in France. It was Charlie Hebdo is a magazine. It's quite on the mark. Like it pushes the boundaries. And they basically did some stuff that kind of depicted Muhammad. But they've done a lot of stuff that's quite and they ended up being a terror attack in their studio. So basically that, what am I saying? I don't even know how I got onto this. Oh, but they're political. Like that was through that, there was a lot of political art illustration that came out, you know, and it was like people saying, you know, we have an ability to speak out and draw things how we want. I mean, I'm not going to go into that whole of whether they should have drawn Muhammad or not. Like that's another thing. But it's illustration can definitely be political. or it can definitely have a meaning and a point. You know, our newspapers are full of caricatures of our prime minister and things that have happened. So I'm definitely saying illustration isn't art. I just title myself an illustrator, not an artist, just because I feel, I think art does need to have something to say.
Really?
But that doesn't mean that something I don't think is profound, someone else does, you know? So it can be art to someone else. It's quite, do you know what I mean? Maybe not.
I know what you mean. It's interesting though, because like I don't know if art needs to have a meaning in order for it to be called art. And also, if your art has to you no meaning, to say that you're not an artist, that's, I find rather strange, right? Because to some person you say, oh, you are an artist because you're creating something. You're creating something with your hands. You're making an object that is onto a surface, right? You're a creator. Now, the fact that to you it doesn't have, like, I don't know, substance, I guess would be a word for it, like weight, maybe. Yes. I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird. I don't really think about this topic that much. I kind of lean towards the idea, like, it doesn't have to have any meaning to be art, or with the work that you make doesn't have to have a lot of meaning to be art, because in my opinions, I think there's already enough people. There's so many artists out there that are already doing the fair share of work that has lots of meaning to it, and I'm like, I'll let them do that, and I'm just gonna keep it simple. That's, I already have enough things to worry about than to make artwork that has meaning, and it's just going to stress me out because I'm going to be thinking about it, because a lot of that art that has meaning has a lot of meaning, and it's also, it could be very political, or it could be very socially charged, and if you're just dealing with your day-to-day, I don't need to be thinking about all the I don't need to be burdening myself with this social, like, weight, I guess, where this kind of, like, it'd be mentally fatiguing in order to, if I was thinking about that stuff all the time. And when you're making art of that nature, I'd assume that you'd probably be thinking about it a lot more than the average person.
Yeah. It is a very tricky question, because I think what you're going down is when art is personal, isn't it? There's a lot of personal reaction. I think the reason why I think it has to have meaning, the meaning doesn't have to be deep, by the way. It could be like I went to see David Hockney exhibition, and he does a lot of landscapes, so what's the meaning of a landscape? What are we getting out of it? Is it just that was it beautiful? Or he did a lot of iPad drawings of this view from his window. He actually does it every single day. So does that have meaning? Well, maybe not in the daily, I'm just drawing my nice view from my window.
iPad drawings?
He does iPad drawings, yeah.
I can look them up. I can look those up?
Yeah, David Hockney.
I'm going to look him up.
Yeah. So he does them, every day out of his window. And then when you went to the exhibition, they just showed basically a reel of all of these pictures from his window that he's done. And in England, we're blessed with so many seasons, so many changes of weather. That's why we're always talking about it. It's so different. And then some days it's his mood. Sometimes he was like trying to do it quickly. Other days he's like looking detailed at it. And so therefore, something that was, him daily drawing this view from his window that could just be seen as, well, I'm just drawing a view from my window, there's no meaning, actually does have meaning. So, or it does have an expression, or it does get you excited. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, it's quite hard to define what that meaning is.
Yeah.
And maybe I draw, I've just done this painting of strawberries. I wanted to do them because I wanted to do something that was bright and colourful. And I'd just done a drawing that expressed summer, Maybe someone would look at that and go, oh, strawberries, like this has, they're romantic and they're delicious and they're fun, and colourful. And they remind me of Wimbledon tennis because they always have strawberries. They remind me of, when my grandma used to, I don't know. It's like personal. So someone might look at that and go, that's art because I've got this connection. I don't know if that's necessarily what I make. Maybe some days, but not all the time. I think sometimes I just have a meaningless compulsion to draw something. And that's why I'm not comfortable necessarily calling myself an artist. I don't know.
Do you think that you're seeking for the viewers to find an emotional connection? And if they do, will you call yourself an artist?
Well, I've had people who say, I love that, because, a lot of the things I've done are quite like, particularly like the buildings, or if I've done like local, there's a station down our road that's built in the 1920s that's Art Deco, and it's just beautiful. They filmed a Harry Potter film there, and people love that station. It's really iconic. It's a listed building, and I drew that, and that had a lot of people asking me about it. So that had a connection because people have that kind of familiarity. So I feel like that's the kind of feeling I give people in what I draw, perhaps. I don't know where I was going with it. I feel like my art up until this year has just been me just drawing what I've wanted to. And I kind of would post a couple of pictures
here and there
and see if people like it. Because, the problem I think with me is I've got, I want people to like it, but I don't want them to tell me they like it. Do you have that? I cringe when someone's like, oh, I love that. I'm like, well, okay, thanks. I want people to be like, I want the affirmation, but I don't want the praise. It's a very complex set of feelings. I need to know people like the stuff I'm doing, but at the same time, it embarrasses me when someone's like, that's lovely. I don't know if you find that. Maybe you like it.
Okay. Now that we have a few people watching, I want them. Could you put your eyes to the comment section and look at all the questions you have? We have a few questions here. Yeah, we have some comments. So we have Cheryl over here has 2 questions, and then real weird art has a question about praise. So feel free to answer those.
Could you ask her where in the world would she like or dislike to study her art? What's her national? Well, I'm from London. I'm from England. Where would I like or dislike to study her art?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm dyslexic, so I don't.
If you wanted to study art, where would you like to study it, or where would you not like to study it? If you could study art.
Barcelona.
Barcelona?
Oh, I love that city. Barcelona is the best city to go to because you've got your beach, you've got your history, you've got a lot. Spanish culture is just amazing. I love Barcelona. I love Spain, and also I quite like the language of Spain. I'm not very good at it, but I pretend to think that I'm learning it. But also I love London. I would like to have time to study more art in London because there's just so much like history around. But
yeah. And what do you what's concerning to you about praise? Why don't you like praise?
Do you like praise? It's just it's
love it.
Tell me more. I don't know. I'm awkward. I'm quite awkward. English people don't like to. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's not English people. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for someone to be like, like, oh, I love, if someone said to me, oh, can you draw me something? I really want to buy it. I'd be like, yes, that's the kind of like, that's the kind of compliment I can deal with. But when it's like, oh, I really like that. Like, your stuff's amazing. How do you do it? I'm like, oh, it's just, you know, I'm a fraud. I'm a fraud. I'm not real. There's a
fraud?
condition. No, there's a condition that people have at work, and it's called imposter syndrome. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so imposter syndrome. So like loads of people apparently suffer with this fear that that they're going to be found out that they're actually terrible because they can't do their job properly. And I think that's basically what I have. It's sort of like an imposter syndrome. Like, they're going to know that I'm not very good. So you're concerned the praise is invalid. Yeah, probably that. I think people are lying. Yeah, like, so, oh, my mum likes, well, actually, no, my mum isn't great with like affirmation. So, but if my husband's like, yeah, it's great, I'm like, oh, he just doesn't understand art. Like, so I think with him, like, oh, he's lying. And then you're like, oh, if it's a friend or something, you're like, you have to say you like it, you know? Yeah. So I probably don't really believe them. Yeah.
Well, moms can be the equalizer with art, especially when you first start out as an artist, as a kid, they'll praise you, right, and they'll give the affirmation, and then they start getting real honest. Or your mom wasn't honest, or was honest?
No. My mum wouldn't be like, oh, that's great, Jerusha. She'd be like, I remember me and my mum I remember this so vividly. Actually, my dad as well. Like, we were doing some watercolors, and my mum's really good at painting and drawing and everything. And I was like, I must have been about like 7 or 8. So my picture was like, and I went to Dad and I was like, Dad's going to be like, yours is the best. And I was like, which do you think's better between me and Mum's? He was like, obviously Mum's. Like, he would just never, he would just be completely like, no matter what age, just, yeah, no, it's not great. So maybe that's where I get it from. Oh, maybe like, I don't know, maybe I've had a messed up childhood. I need to reevaluate everything.
I guess that might come with the territory of having a parent who's good at art, and then you comparing yourself to your parent, or so forth. Like, oh, I imagine, like, it's like Michael Jordan, and like Michael Jordan's kids, like, he's playing basketball now. I think he's in college, but they're like, you have to be. They're always going to compare him to Michael Jordan. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that'd be weird to be, because my parents weren't artists, so like I didn't have that measure, like that measuring stick to compare. You know, my parents would be like, oh, I used to draw a little bit. You know, like, yeah, sure you did. Like, when you were a little kid, you draw a little bit. Oh, but we have some more questions about your praise here. We got a lot of questions, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so
do you ever think you'll overcome that insecurity and accept objective, positive interpretations of your work, or perhaps not objective, but at least unbiased interpretations of your work?
So will I ever basically overcome insecurities? Probably not, because everyone's always vulnerable, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, like, I'll get more confident in, you know, the fact that I've been doing this painting for this gallery has been a huge confidence boost. The fact that, you know, people have liked stuff that I've been doing on Instagram and want to buy my stuff, like, that is like, oh, really? Like, you want to buy my stuff? That will be a confidence boost, because you feel like, you know, people are willing to part with their cash, their hard-earned money for my work. So that would help. But I think you're always, whenever you post something, or because it's yours and you've put so much time into it, you're gonna think, think I'll always be a bit insecure about stuff. I think that's just maybe my personality. That Danielle Kreiser, the Jealous creator who I mentioned before, she writes a lot of books, and she's written a book that's called Your Inner Critic is a Big Jerk. And it's all about like that head inside, like the little voice in your head that's, you know, the doubt and the you're not good and you should give up. Like, I think it's refreshing to know that there's artists of all, like, everywhere that struggle with that. So yeah.
And another question, do you believe you'll never be a good artist until you're better than your parents?
I don't know what, I just don't think, I don't know, maybe one day I'll call myself an artist. Maybe I'll feel like I've done a piece that has like meaning and story. I don't know better than my parents. I don't think my mum is good, but she's very different to me. So it's quite hard to like, I don't think I compare myself to her skills, but you compare yourself to everyone else. Like, there's always someone that you're going to be like. Michael Jordan, you know, he's pretty good.
Fairly good. I think he's one of the best. I heard he's one of the best. I don't know. I don't know if he is. I'm rolling my eyes, but I think you're an artist. You got a gallery interested in you, and you got artists, or you got people wanting to buy your work. I don't know what the measure of an artist is, but I think that's a pretty good indication that you're an artist, wouldn't you say?
Maybe, who knows? Maybe one day you'll see in the bio.
What obstacles do you currently feel prevent you from creating work with meaning and story? We're getting some deep questions from guests here today.
I have to read it again. Sorry. What obstacles do you currently feel prevent you from creating meaning and story? Well, I think a lot of it is based on just what I'm feeling or what I see and what I've noted down. So it's there are personal stuff that I do. I did do one piece that I think had a little bit more meaning than some of the stuff I produce. Because I don't know if you guys are hearing any of the news of what's happening in Belarus at the moment, but it's pretty bad. So they had a lot of riots last year, and a lot of we've got some friends that live in Belarus, which is just near Russia, if you don't know where it is. They're basically, Belarus is known as being the country of Europe's last dictator, and there's just a lot of tension in that place. And I've got some dear friends that live there, and it's just been really horrible for not going into detail. So I did a thing for Belarus, which was there's people that are being arrested for just wearing red and white. So you would be arrested, you see, because they're the colours of people who are being who are opposing the dictator. So it's quite scary. So I did a little drawing of that as one of my days, and so I think that had a bit of meaning and story to it, because the colours, the animal, the sort of composition, as you said, I did think about. But sometimes, you just want to draw what you want, a banana.
I think the act of drawing in itself has its own meaning. I think there's the act of setting a time for you to draw, and something that is either therapeutic or gives you growth in some form, that gives you a purpose in your day, or at least at the time that you're working on it. I feel that has meaning in itself, as opposed to like that we have to attach like this social thing or this societal thing to. We have to like tether something to it so that it becomes more palatable to the surrounding your surrounding society. I think, I mean, you could do that, but I think the fact that the person is doing an act, aka in this case, the act of drawing or creating something, and it brings them joy to them in their day to day. It brings them value to themselves. It gives them a sense of self. I think that is a valid, a perfectly valid source of meaning than just finding like a society, a thing that's occurring outside that you have no control over, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know, like I'm trying to navigate this thought process and this concept. So like I'm probably gonna miss like 80% of it, but I think like 20% of it has some relevancy. So I think maybe it sounds like there should be some belief in yourself. You know, I mean, you got a lot of people believing in you right now, and I think just keeping the process of drawing every day is probably going to build up that callus, uh, and then you'll be able to call yourself an artist. You know, I've had people guest on the show, and they'll say, guess what? If you made something within the past 5 years, you're an artist. You know, and it doesn't have to have any meaning. You've created something. You've been creating something for the past 250 something days. What day is it? What day is it for you?
240.
250?
40.
240. So you've created 240 drawings. Guess what? You're an artist. You're done. You're like, I don't know any other way to create any. I don't have any other words to say that would convince me. But anyone that does anything for 240 days can say that they're that thing that they're doing. You know.
Yeah. I do think like if the process is a big part of the art, definitely. I do, yeah. And you know, sometimes you know, if you're not enjoying what you make, then why are you making it?
I mean, you've stated earlier that sometimes the artwork it can be a drag. You know,
Yeah.
It is a joy to do the artwork and to create the piece, but sometimes it's work. You know, well, it's labor.
Oh yeah.
And it's labor, and it's even more laborsome after a hard day's of work. Like unfortunately, like the majority of artists, you know, are undervalued in society, you know, and like they're having to basically pull a full-time job and then work outside to do their craft. And sometimes I feel like the outside world views a lot of artists as like, oh, this is a very, very, very technical hobby, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way.
No. Oh no. You should. People need to be paid properly. You shouldn't expect someone just because they enjoy it to do it for free. Like I definitely agree with all that. Yeah, we should respect people's work as a occupation. Definitely. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for other artists?
Any advice? Well, I don't know. I think what's been good for me is just showing the stuff and showing it warts and all, showing the bad and the good. You know, I think like as well, I've probably put a bit of pressure on myself doing this year thing, but people shouldn't feel like they've got to compete to do like a huge challenge if it's not going to be helpful, if it's going to just make you knackered or hate what you're doing, you know. It's great to have that kind of body of work at the end when you've finished, but it's not worth it if it's going to get you really stressed, I think.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said to me, if you're not enjoying it, then don't do it. But then I'd enjoy it again. And then I'm like, oh, so it's not bad to seesaw on emotion, but you know, if it's taking over, don't. And I think next, when I finish this year-long stint,
Year 2.
I'll probably my second year, I'm thinking I'm just going to go big, and I'm going to focus on one thing.
One big thing.
So I've got loads of tiny little ones this year, and then next year is a big piece, and I put a lot of energy in that and take time over it.
That's a good idea.
So to do a balance, yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing myself doing.
If you could start this project all over again, what would you do differently? We're getting some good questions here, much better than I have.
If I could start this project again, what would I do differently? Probably do more when I was retired. Probably do my boat. Yeah. What would I do differently?
So getting more. So how many sketches did you have pre-finished or like semi completed before you were able to basically do the complex inking process? A couple months.
I think I did a couple months. Yeah.
So you would do more of the preloaded drawings, or what else would you do? What else would you commit to doing? Would there be more planning as far as regards of prompts, or would you do less prompts? So you'd instead of doing your Mortal Monday, your Terrain Tuesday, hashtag. I don't know those hashtags. That's the ones I remember the most. Maybe what if you just we just had like 2 or 3 prompts as opposed to 7 prompts?
Maybe I wouldn't do it as long. Maybe I just wouldn't do. Maybe I do 100. Well, no. Do you know what? I started off by doing 100 days actually, and then I just kept. But in my head, I was like, I'm doing a year.
Yeah.
So maybe I wouldn't do as long. I don't know. But then I like it, so I don't know if I would do that. It's baffled me, that question.
It's hard to kind of self-reflect on that. I think the best answer you had was just to kind of do a little bit more preparing on the so you're not on the front end, so you're not having to doing the prep work is very beneficial. It's a drag at the very beginning, but on the back end of a project, it really helps because as you were saying, like now you're out of your kind of your pre-sketches, and now you're having to do them from scratch, or you're trying to hustle to get more done when your time is at a crunch now, because you're getting towards a time at your work where it's kind of complex and it's taking more of your time resource.
Yeah. I think what I would is probably pressure. It's probably the pressure to make it look exactly how I want it and be very controlled and actually just chill a bit. I think that's probably one thing. Another thing is to not be like deflated because something had like didn't have as many likes as you think, you know. I think that is a big thing.
The likes, is that I've stopped looking at those likes on social media as like validation.
No, don't. That's something that you can just whip right out there, because it doesn't mean people don't like it or haven't seen it. They just didn't, you know.
When do you feel that you are least fair to yourself as an artist? From this is another question from one of the guests here.
Well, I'm most vulnerable when I've just shown someone it. So I don't think, I'm not a salesman. I'm not like, this is like what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, this is my little picture over here. Don't hurt me.
Well, so in all fairness, artists are burdened with the unfair job of having to be everything at once. They're burdened with being the creator, the promoter, and the salesman. You know, they have to do all those things, and like every other company has people to do specifically that one thing, but we have to do all of it. And unfortunately, you can't always be a jack of all trades. You know, you can get a little bit more proficient at it, but you just can't be all of it. I wish you could. I wish we could. And that's why when you get a lot of artists that get to a certain degree, there's a certain level of success. They kind of just they outsource some of that stuff so they can focus on their craft. You know, that'd be great to be in that position, though. That would be definitely a really cool position to be in. Where like, yeah, I don't feel like answering these emails. John, could you do that for me? And could you call out these leads and do my social media for me? Because I just want to keep drawing. Thank you. And they're like, can do. Anyways, I digress. We got another question here. Do you think referring to your own work as little diminishes the hard work and energy you've invested into creating it?
Yeah, which is why I'm not good at selling my work.
I think flip it. Say I am good at selling my work. When you actually, I heard there's some research saying that if you say words out loud, they have more power than thinking them. And thinking the words has power too. So when you start thinking negative thoughts, your subconscious mind starts to think those things that you're thinking and starts to believe them. And then when you state them, it actually has more power. So when you say I'm not a good salesman or I don't think my work is good, hearing it is actually more powerful than just thinking it. So maybe flip the script a little bit and say that my work is awesome.
I could do that.
Do it. Just start saying my work is awesome. And then you say it every day, 3 times a day. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, my work is awesome. Good job.
Thank you. Do you believe the work? No.
Oh, come on. We just had this conversation. Your work is awesome, by the way.
Oh,
thanks.
There's a quote. By Picasso, actually. Look at me. That all children are children are artists. The problem is keeping them artists. So that's to do with confidence, isn't it? But are all children artists? Because my husband for sure would say he wasn't.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, there's some qualities in the mark making that children have that, you know, when you get older, you kind of lose. You know, there's because when we get older, we want to organize things, right? And when you're a children, you're just like you're just taking a marker and just go.
Yeah.
Right, and you're like, whoa. There's something freeing about that as a kid, where when you don't have there's no rules. Only the rules only start happening when adults start saying this is what you have to do to make beautiful art or to do X, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, the adult says for me to draw these objects like this because that's what they say, and they're an adult and I don't know any better, so I've got to follow them, right? Mm-hmm. How many times would it take for someone to say your work is awesome for you to believe it?
Well, that's the problem, because I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like people that if people come and buy my stuff. Should I start saying, buy my work? And then I'll
it's going to have to be. You're not going to be able to sell your work until the end of the year because you want to have your show.
No, exactly.
Yeah, so you're kind of.
I think there will always be stuff that you're more proud of that you like, and it'll be hard to give it away. But I will probably always struggle no matter what with saying that. Yeah.
I'd say you should sell your work now. Make a list of all the people that bought your work, and get a good Excel sheet so that when you have your show, you can say on loan by, or like in galleries they say that the artwork is on loan or on lease by whoever owns the piece. So you can just have the work back returned to you on loan for the show itself. So it's already been sold, and that way people will see all these sold pieces that are on loan or on lease, and they're like, wow, this person's got chops. I better buy some work before they get all sold.
Got the hype, or just red sticker everything.
That too. You could red sticker all the stuff that has been sold prior to the gallery opening, and that's what you should probably do. Done.
I think I will, but I feel like I'm giving away my secret, so don't tell anyone.
So we have we have a lot of questions. So if people don't buy it, your by default is not awesome. What if there's an economic depression that makes buying anything incredibly difficult? Does your work cease any ability to be awesome?
No, I don't think that's what my pinnacle of if it's done well is if it's been sold. I think I will know then that someone really does like it if they're willing to part with money to take it. Yeah.
And you've had a few inquiries.
People can say to me they like stuff, but if they actually took it in, that's such a privilege. That's so amazing. Like somebody wants to buy something I made. Like that's so exciting. And I'll definitely just think, oh, that's just, so I'm so I'm over the moon that somebody wanted to do that. Yeah. I don't think I would be like, oh, this is rubbish and I'm going to rip up, stuff because of it.
Have you ever ripped up any of your artwork?
Oh yeah. This year alone, I was like, I was thinking I would like rip them all up because I saw this other girl who makes paper out of the prints that are bad, and I was like, I'm going to try and make paper out of it. So that's that's another little project to do.
I don't know if I've ripped up any work. I don't know. I don't think I have. I haven't thrown away anything. I have some ideas of burning them, but I don't know about throwing them away yet. Do you have any dream projects that you'd like to do in the next 5 years?
Projects. Yeah, well, I want to do something massive.
Mm-hmm. What's massive to you?
Well, so the painting I just did was probably like 2 meters by like maybe 2 meters by 1 meter. So
6 by 3 feet. Is a meter like 3 feet, 4 feet?
Yeah, I don't know. Because you don't. It was just big. It was like
it's just big.
It was like here on me.
Okay.
Yeah, like 6 feet. Yeah, I would say.
Okay. So you would do something bigger than that. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, now I've painted because actually that's another thing. When I went to the gallery, I had never painted before. And people coming up to me, they were going, "Oh, how long have you like been painting for?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, today." So that was quite fun. But yeah, no, I'm happy to like do things like that I don't really normally do to try. In my head, I wanted to paint it. I wanted to have these bright like fluorescent acrylic colors. So I painted it, and I'd never actually, well, since school, I'd never actually done a painting. So experimenting with
larger than that.
Yeah, I could do something larger than that. Yeah, now I've done a board and seen how it works. I could do something larger than that. Yeah, but it's got to fit.
How would you go about that?
How would I go about it?
Like, how would you make it larger? Like, where would you find the space to make a large piece?
Well, it would have to fit in my shed. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay, in your shed. Okay.
Yeah. But this is the work that we did for this gallery was all just like plywood boards. So it was just a big sheet of wood, like MDF or something.
Yeah, and that's heavy.
Yeah. And we just like they just stacked it on 2 little bits of wood. The whole gallery was like they're working on it. It hadn't opened, so there was literally builders everywhere. There was wires everywhere, so it was like filthy. So I was like, if I can do it there, I can do it at home. So I'd do it on a huge board, and I'd just go wild with like colours and stuff, which is another thing that I'm sort of scared of. But yeah. What else do I want to do? I love screen printing. I don't know if you've ever tried screen printing. I fell in love with it at uni. I've got loads of gear. I'd love to do more screen printing because it's just one of my favourite things. Again, repetitive, controlled, but you can play around with it. Yeah, so those are and just playing with like foiling or I don't know, like maybe get some fabric in there, different products, loads of projects.
So if you want to do
endless.
So if you want to do something big, I've had experience where if you want to make a big piece of work, and if you're using plywood or like MDF, one things that I've heard that I have done has basically been taking a bunch of wood panels and then clamp them together so you can make your piece bigger, and then you can disassemble it and store it in your storage so that it lays flat or whatever way. If you're using wood, if you're using wood panels, you can put them together like this, and then you can make your 4x8 tall panel into an 8x8 panel by assembling two pieces, and then work on it. You probably have to work on it outside though, because unless you have the storage, like enough room to wall space to work on it, but that'll allow you to go bigger and bigger, and as big as you can for however long you want to work on it for a year, and then you can be able to store it back into your storage shed without having any problems, because it'd be collapsible.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I've still got to draw a circle though.
Oh, you want to do a circle?
Wow. I find it's the easiest way. I could I'm not. I'm open to. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but if I wanted to do a circle, because the painting I did at the gallery is mainly a circle, so I had to draw it. I had to get a little bit of rope tied to. I think I just put my finger in the middle actually, and then I just had to like do that a couple of times to try and get it right, but it worked.
What are those? What are those machines that cut through wood in whatever shape that you want it to? I think it's escaping me at the moment.
What you mean.
But like it's like a jig machine that will allow you to cut. So you probably could if you wanted to, you can make a really large wood panel circle. But I'd be worried that the piece would roll away.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. Yeah.
Have I asked what questions have I not asked that you would like me to ask you?
I don't know. What does I feel like this? No, he's asked quite a lot of questions. I don't know really. I think you've asked me quite a lot of questions.
I have.
He's laughing at me. I don't know. I'm having a breakdown. I'm not good at compiling questions. Don't know. Well, you said you were interested in me being from London. Do you want to know anything about London?
What's it like living in London?
Oh, it's great. I live just outside London. I love London. Every time I go into London, I get excited because it's such an amazing city. And there's just so many things. It's just massive. It's so big. Like I don't think I'll ever not be able to explore. And there's always something going on. So it's definitely made me always want to live in a city, I think, personally.
Oh, I have a question. This. Yeah. Are you familiar with the show Toast of London?
Oh, I know. I think I know what it is.
Actor Matt Berry.
Yeah. He's in the IT crowd, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got like a really good a good voice.
He's got that like that radio voice. It's very like very good sounding. That being said, what are some like good shows that that you could find in London that aren't really available outside of London or outside in the US in
art or in anything? Because I have you seen Abstract?
I have.
That's Netflix, so you probably have that.
Okay,
Abstract.
Is Abstract that art show book thing?
Yeah.
Art book?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought book, but I just thought
it's not a book. No, well, it might be. They might have a book, but that's such a good. That's one of my favorite programs. If you're talking about art, stuff that's English that's really good. Oh, I don't know. Put me on the spot. I like watching.
If you started your own art,
do you? Well, this is like a comedy show, but it's so funny. I don't know if you know. Have you ever seen The In-Betweeners?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So you know the head teacher in that? There's a head teacher in that. He's really massively tall. He's got grey hair. His name's Greg Davis.
Yeah, he's a tall dude.
Yeah. He's like 6 foot something. He does a show called Taskmaster, which is like one of my favorite shows ever. Which is basically him and this other comedian called Alex Horne. They like set tasks for comedians, and they're just like silly things. So they have to read a task. They're just given this envelope. It says like, burp the longest or something like that. And then they have to be like, I've got to burp like in 30, like this amount of time.
Yeah.
They like throw this ball the highest. I don't know. That's a rubbish example. And it's just, you just see people's reaction to a task that's been given, and then they set it between another 5 contestants, so they're all like battling out, and it's so funny. And that is such a good program, and it's so watch
he's
that.
A funny comedian. I like him. He always plays like this character. He always plays like a character that that people can push him around a lot, even though he's like a giant amongst around everyone else. Like, so like he's always, I don't want to say like he plays like a weak person, I guess, but like definitely not a very assertive guy in the shows that he plays in. And which makes it even funnier because like, are you kidding me? You could just push this guy over. He's like 3'2", you know?
Yeah. No, he said this show is, if they do it in America, if they redo it, you need to watch it, because it's so funny. And he in it, he is the taskmaster. So he is the person that sets the tasks and then judges what comes back to him. And the stuff you get on there is just so funny. It's really good. So I'm a bit obsessed with that. That's a really good program. I don't know what else there could be. Have you watched? No. I really like Stranger Things. That's coming out soon, but I think
the new one. What season are they on? Are they on season 4?
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah. I love anything that's like coming of age, anything that's like a teenager at school. I just love that. I love all of that. Like E.T.
You like E.T. Freaks and Geeks. The In-Betweeners is a funny show too.
Yeah, it's a bit gross at points, but yeah,
it's a very raunchy show, and they're like, gosh, they get in some weird shenanigans. If you started your own artist interview series, what is one question you would always want to know the answer to?
I don't know. What's your favorite thing to make? Or your favorite process? know, I love like learning new things and seeing how people like make stuff, I think. So I'd want to know like, or what do you wish you could learn? Or what piece do you wish you'd made?
So what piece do you wish you'd made?
Oh. What piece do I wish I'd made? Is it Jeremy? Who did that? I'm looking at this thing now. Time sculpture, time video art. Have you ever seen that? Is it Jeremy Deller?
Jeremy Deller?
Is it Jeremy Deller who did the time thing? No. Who did the time? Someone did. Time video art.
I'm actually quite impressed that you're doing searches during the interview, because I can't even do that. I'm worried that I'm going to mess up.
Oh really? Oh yeah, I should probably not do that. I'm probably going to ruin it to me. There's this amazing video art, and I can't remember the artist who does it, which is all about time. It's a clock. It's called The Clock. Sorry, I've just remembered. The Clock video art. Christian Markley.
Christian Markley.
That is so good. Yeah. That is so good. I could sit there. It's a 24-hour clock, but he's taken little clips from films, and every film has like a clock in it in the back. And he's gathered all of these things, and he's made an actual physical 24-hour clock. And that blew my mind. And they showed it at the Tate in London, and I went to see it about 3 times, just different times. And it's interesting because, like, you know, the 3 p.m. time zone is like more like family. There you go. He's got it. He's got the link to it. And that's like more family films. And then you get like later on, like it's like horror. It's so good. What else do I like? I like Oliver Ellison. He is, I can't remember where he's from. I think he's, I'm gonna look him up. I love Oliver Ellison. He's like so experimental. Danish. He's Danish. Okay, I knew he was like Icelandic or something. He blows my mind. He's like science and art mixed together. He did this thing. This is where, like, sometimes I just think this is where I need the meaning of stuff, or sometimes I need to understand the art. With Oliver Ellison is a good example of that. So he's on Abstract if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
He has this light, this amber light, and he did an exhibition, and it was an empty room with an amber light, and what the creator of the exhibition said to him, you need to put something in this room. You can't just have an empty room. You need to put put a sculpture in the middle, or put a sandwich on put something in here. And he was going, no, because it's not about that. Then the exhibition will become about the sculpture or whatever's in the middle. And it's not, it's about this light. It's about the light. And then basically what this light does is it saturates the color. So you're walking into the room and everything looks black and white. You can only see the light, the amber light. And he said what he wanted to do was allow people to come into the room, and then they'd start looking at each other and go, oh, the color's drained. I can't see any color. It's all black and white to me, but it's amber. And then you're sort of talking, and it's this sort of experimental. So I love that idea. But I just know if I went to a gallery and walked in and it was an amber light, I'd be like, what is this? And I wouldn't have seen that it was black and white. So that's why I think it's so interesting understanding like what an artist is saying, and that kind of meaning. And I did go and see his exhibition again at the Tate, and they had the light on in the when you were queuing outside. It was where the lifts were, and I was like, look at that light, what do you see? And I was going to like my friend, like, look at the people in that light, what do you see? And it's because I understood it, but maybe I'm just not like, I don't know, intellectual enough to understand, to read the artwork that's happening. But Oliver Ellison is incredible. He his mind is, yeah, I love how he just brings light and invention together with art, and then it makes this experience. Yeah.
So that's very cool. Like it desaturated the environment so that when you came in there, you lost like a sensory, like it's sensory. It's an experience, sensory experience, and not just about the art.
No. Yeah, it was about the people in the room. The art wouldn't have existed if people weren't there, and that's what really interesting. It made you there. I know that this is like probably some people turn their nose up at that kind of like installation art because I don't. But I just think it was like you physically have to come to this room and have people and watch them and look at them, and you'll see there's no color, and then you were then looking around at, and you're the art, you know. So I love that. I don't have that. I wish I had that kind of mind to be able to think, like, to understand these like components and be able to put them together. But yeah.
So we got 2 more questions, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up a little bit here. So these are from our guest here, and where was it? Okay. What do you see as the primary difference between an artist and an aspiring artist?
What do you see as the primary difference between an artist and an aspiring artist? I don't know if I see a difference in an art. Someone who wants to. What is aspiring artist? What is an aspiring artist? Because maybe am I an aspiring artist? I don't know. I think you have people who want to create and have like they find it relaxing, and they just want to make. You know, they make for their own joy, or they make because they have something a compulsion, like I said before, in them.
Yeah.
You know, you're not saying that someone who's like at home crocheting, that's you know, creative, that's making something. But what changes them from being an artist is, I think, you want to start sharing that with people. You want to start there's an expression that you have. There's a meaning. There's something that you want to tell, a story you want to tell. So I think maybe that's the difference. Like an aspiring artist, like for myself, I'd probably put myself more in that category of aspiring, because I'm just experimenting. I'm just doing what I love, and I'm just showing you guys. And you know, maybe that will become my trade, or maybe people will start reading it, or maybe I'll have a story to tell that's not just a polar bear. Something like that. I think that's maybe the difference, you know, because loads of people are creative, you know. My mum crochets, and she's made me some lovely blankets. But she hasn't made it an art. She hasn't, you know, crocheted a sculpture or crocheted a painting and put it up. You know, she hasn't used that technique that she's learned to tell a story or show it. You know, she's just used it very practically, and that's maybe what I do, just with a pen. I don't know. That's probably my difference.
And one last question from our guest here is, why did you say yes to being interviewed today?
Well, because I wanted to push myself, and I like to put myself in. I was actually really scared when Matt first messaged me to come and be interviewed. I thought, oh, is it? I think I actually wrote this. Is it for your blog? I'm like so outdated. Like I'm just not really like YouTube. And I was like, is it for your blog? And then you were like, no, it's a live video. And I did poo myself a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, okay. on your live thing, okay. And then I was like, you know what? Like, just say yes. And so that's why I said yes to the Camden thing as well. I decided like I was just going to push myself, put myself out there, and I'll just say yes to opportunities. If people want to collaborate, if people want to do something, I'll just say, yeah, let's give it a go. Let's try it. I'm like at a time in my life, I don't have kids. I don't have my dog yet. So
do you have your crisps?
I've got crisps aplenty. I like eating crisps. yeah, so I'm free to say yes. So why not? Why not say yes? You know.
Yeah. Could you? How would you like people to remember this conversation?
Draw it. If you want to draw me, how would I like people to remember this conversation? Well, I think you should go out and watch those things and look at those artists. And also another thing you should listen to if you like podcasts, the Reith lectures. They're very English, but the Reith lectures, that's REITH. They're very good. And Grayson Perry, who I've mentioned before, he's done a lot of amazing programs and stuff. He's a good person. He's a good program. He did an art club through lockdown. As I meant to say that word. He did an art club through this year when everything was shut. And it was amazing. And he's got such a lovely way of it, like, you know, just being so generous with people and being happy to like show, yeah, the Reith lectures, that's it. So he did a thing called Playing to the Gallery, and they're really good, and they're all about art, and they're all about what is art, what is modern art. They're really, really interesting. What am I saying? What would I remember? Just like, I don't know. If you create stuff, like, keep doing it and don't put too much pressure on yourself. And, you know, if you want to be an artist, be an artist. I don't see myself, I'm not saying you're not an artist, but I don't call myself that. So that maybe that's, and that's fine. I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to be like really like philosophical at the end.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be. Drew, where can people find you online?
So at the moment, they can only find me on Instagram, which I believe is just Drew Draws, because I drew and I draw, and I'm Jerusha. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, and you'll probably know I think I'll try and get a website sorted at some point, but I'm so new. It's only been like 1 year, so I'm very new to the internet world of sharing. But I'm hoping to do a lot of projects and things. But yeah, mainly Instagram. I might venture to TikTok. I don't know if I'm there yet. I'm a bit nervous about that.
You have to make videos. That's a whole nother thing.
I know, and you have to show your face. I don't like
you don't have to show your face. You can just show videos of you drawing, or maybe
just like a hand, maybe like a sort of, like, maybe I'll go emo again. I don't know. Maybe I'll like get the fringe, or maybe I'll be like Banksy and just be like, you know, hidden behind a mask or something.
Yeah, you just go in and
now. I'm just kidding.
Drew, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and talk to me about your work and your life. Really do appreciate it. Everyone that was watching, thank you so much for your questions. You made for a much livelier interview, and brought in some points that I might bring in, or brought in some questions that I might steal and ask for future artists. And if you like watching live drawing, live art streams, and artist interviews, please subscribe to my channel for more of that content. It's a little long, but it's okay. Anyways, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, everyone. Drew, thank you. And I hope to remain in contact with you in the future, and then always keep in touch with me, okay? And everyone, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. This is Pierson. Cheers.